Hello everyone, this is StrawberryShorty back with the letter. Isabella is in a coma, Ash and Rebecca are maybe going to be in a relationship, and we are about to start playing as Luke, who is maybe separating from Hannah, who the ghost currently has prisoner in modern time. Also, I had to fast forward through most of this because of a glitch that occurred with the saves. First, I realized that I had forgot to say the save in general. So, before the whole thing with Ash, so. And then I was going to reload my Rebecca save that I had, but that didn't. It became my Ashton save, even though it still said Rebecca. To say that I'm scared of what's happening is a gross understatement. Trouble of any sort is the last thing I want to get home to after a long day at work and a trip to the bar. And when I see Hannah near prostrate, I can only feel dread. She twitches and seizes, body wound and coiled tight before thrashing, shuddering, and shaking. Like a woman possessed, her mouth falls open and her eyes roll to the back of her head. It was the hallmark signs of a seizure. The symptoms are similar enough. I didn't go through the journal at all, but it's doing fine. Not quite sure how that happened. Oh, that's because this is the actual save. I gotta do that on the other save that I had to do when I rushed through the game. And that knowledge, the fact that I know this, only makes me feel worse. Any anger I had caused by our disagreement or parting ways, no matter how temporary she claimed it to be, disappeared. The alcohol-induced daze I felt was brushed aside as I ran to help her. None of that mattered at the moment. But to hold her close is all I can do while she thrashes about. I know this is wrong, that I'm not supposed to hold her down, yet I do it out of instinct. Reflex, even. It's kind of the same thing. I'm terrified of hurting her, but I see another way to keep Hannah from hurting herself. It takes a lot to keep myself from running off to get help when she needs me here. And it takes everything I have to keep myself intact. Shout for the butler! When she says my name, I realize that the seizures have stopped, but that doesn't make the dread go away.
Please.
What happened here? Who did this to you?
I don't know. I'm so sorry.
The sight of her tear-streaked face is enough to twist the knife in. It does not help that I'm as lost as she is right now, and all I can say is,
Shh, it's alright. You're safe now, Hannah. You're safe now.
It takes a bit to go through the house with my inebriated self. It's even made worst by the fact that I had to carry a nearly unconscious person as well. I was about to give up too, until Shrokin showed up to lighten the load. He quietly took her from me without question, and brought her up to the bedroom. And me? Well, I couldn't bring myself to follow. Not right now. Not while I'm drunk and rattled by what had transpired. It's a miracle I was able to help at all. So here I am, sulking in a parlor chair with a glass of wine in hand. I can't even remember what particular vintage it is, and I practically did not care right now. So your solution for being too drunk is to get more drunk.
Because when you're already drunk and still have problems, even more alcohol should help.
Well, that answers that, I guess. Of course, the butler chooses now to appear and be unhelpful.
You know what actually solves all problems? Death. But it is not recommended. Alcohol isn't a true solution either.
It's worked well enough for me.
I'd like to believe that I get my best ideas while I'm thoroughly hammered. Not everyone might agree, but they can't really do anything about it, can they? With a fuck ton of money comes great power, sometimes responsibility. And with that responsibility comes a lot of reasons to get drunk. Of course, I can just tell responsibility to sod off if I was feeling reckless, and Christ, I must be really drunk if I'm thinking in circles. I just need something to focus on, and I should be fine.
How is she? Is she alright?
If panic crept into my voice at the question, I don't let it show. It would be a show of weakness to be so frazzled, to show so much concern over a woman who is going to put me aside. People like him who work for me, I trust with business, but not with myself. Never with that. Only Hannah has come so close. Only she has truly seen the man beneath the facade. Only her actions can wound me so.
Sleeping. Aside from a few bumps and bruises, she seems to be fine. A maid is watching over her for now. It is best not to leave her alone.
Depends whether or not the maid's a ghost.
But, if I may ask, what happened? I was in the gardens when I heard screaming. Did you...
No, it wasn't me.
He's so offended. I'm quick to be on the defensive. I may be capable of a lot of horrible things, but I would never harm her of all people, no matter how angry I might become. Lies. I would never lay a hand on her to hurt her.
I didn't do anything. I wouldn't do anything like that. I don't even have a reason to.
It's like, I'm sure I stabbed her and I killed her, but I didn't hurt her. It's probably painless.
You don't consider her wanting to be a part as reason?
It is. Well, it is. I don't want to talk about it right now. But what happens was I got home. She was seasoned in the kitchens. Is she ill?
Not that kind of doctor. But I've already scheduled your physician for a house call tomorrow morning.
What kind of doctor are you exactly?
We'll still have to monitor her as soon as she wakes up, and...
Oh god, things are coming back to me. I need a drink.
Really? You're still drinking?
Why, yes, it seems to be the bloody best time to be drinking. I'm allowed, aren't I? After all, I've just found my wife having a seizure, and I shouldn't give two shits about it. Not when she's about to leave me.
But I do. Goodness, I do. Hey, new picture! Got a glass and a bottle with a handkerchief. Or a scarf? An ascot? A big generous gulp just makes it so that the taste of cherries, raspberries, and strawberries washes over my tongue, the thing too sweet considering its deceptively earthy aroma. A Veln's Vineyard, seasoned red, isn't something to scoff at. I've had many good memories with this particular drink. This particular bottle, in fact, was a gift. It serves the purpose Lady Blairnot had given it to me for, to forget. All the same, whether I took this bottle or a Pinot Noir, it is just a means to an end. I will probably have to finish the whole bottle to get drunker than I already am.
But no, she doesn't need to be taken care of. If she wants her time apart, she'll have it.
It'll break my heart to just let her go, but she deserves this much, doesn't she? We both deserve this much. I'd be a hypocrite if I don't let her go. Besides, Daisy would laugh her arse off or be filled with horrible pity if she knew nobody in this game communicates. That's what happens. They're gonna die because they don't communicate. I'm not supposed to let someone else define me, and if I refuse to let her go, I'd be forcing myself to define her.
She's had her uses.
She's done a lot for me in the 7 years we've been together. I pursued her at first for the money. It was supposed to be strictly business. There might have been a time, too, when I considered taking her out of the picture so that I could do with the money as I pleased. I'd planned to manipulate her, and I feel horrible thinking about it. But along the way I had changed, if only for her. Perhaps my father would scoff, tell me I've gone soft. Maybe I have. Does it matter? 7 long years. It had its ups and downs, and it certainly hasn't been a perfect marriage. We've had our fights. Who hasn't? But those small moments where we could just laugh and be our happy selves were always magical. They made all these years worth it, and I had seen many more years to come. So where did I go wrong? I've loved only 2 women in my life. Mother Dare, bless her soul, and Hannah, who has been my sunshine for so long. Losing her, I fear that I might become more like my father. Had Damien Wright stayed with Mother or any of the other numerous women he's had a child with, would he have been less of an embittered shell of a man? Would having a darling love in his life have made him a better person? Perhaps it is biased of me to doubt so. I don't think I can ever see the old man in a favorable light.
I'm just surprised that you're not afraid. She might be leaving with delicate information.
You trying to make me kill her? What does she even know?
Oh, she might know something. But if she hasn't done anything with the knowledge for this long, I don't think she would do anything now. If she had even an inkling of what I've done, what I'm capable of, she'll know it's not a good idea. Hannah's a smart woman.
Smart, kind, hardworking, generous, loyal. I can go on and wax poetic about her if I had any talent with stuff.
Why don't you sit down and have a drink with me? Don't worry, it's not poisoned or anything.
Lonely? Oh, I suppose there's no harm.
With a shake of my head, I procure another glass and pour some of the red wine. Watching the red liquid is fascinating on its own with my muddled brain, but I barely notice sloshing some of it and staining my suit. It'll be an utter bugger to clean up, so I'm glad that it isn't my problem. Handing it over, I can't help but look up at the ceiling and let out a sigh. My eyes, damp, glaze over, though I won't let it go further than that. Raising my own glass for a toast, I clear my throat.
We drink to... Do we really need a reason to? The world is messed up.
It sounded like Johannes clearing his throat, not Luke.
War, terrorism, famine, poverty, loved ones and love lost. The world is a cesspool. Might as well be drunk if we're going to drown in it.
A bit less eloquent than your usual speeches, but zum Wohl.
A sip. A gulp. Refill. Rinse and repeat until the bottle of Veln has barely a fifth left. I can't imagine Johannes gets drunk. I must have drunk most of it because I barely see Shrokin take a sip after his first glass. It certainly feels that way. I don't even think I could stand up, let alone walk. I'm all legless. My mind just feels so funny and everything else is equally hilarious. Bloody hell, I think I can make out faces of a bald man on the wallpapers, with the butler also standing up. He looks like a skyscraper from where I'm seated.
Jesus Christ, I have Sasquatch as a butler.
He does seem quite tall based on that CG of him at the police station. I have a great alcohol tolerance, so this, seeing how I'm a giggling wreck right now, is, I assume, really bad. If there's any sober part left to me, I'd probably shrivel up and die just thinking of the hangover that'll come in the morning. But I can't help but get distracted at the sight of moonlight peeking through the curtains, shiny and shimmery and absolutely splendid. Even if the night brought calm, it is the moon that always enamored me so. It is the second sun, but just as beautiful as my sunshine.
I want to go out and look at the moon. Mommy, I can't feel my legs.
Mutter, I am not. Don't tell me I have to carry you upstairs to bed.
I didn't even do nothing. I did my best to behave decent. Whiskey and Mint are just good friends, that's all. And that Rochelle woman's baby isn't mine. I swear, I couldn't love any other woman than Hannah. Miss Pink is right.
Love doesn't make babies, though.
I don't know how she can even put up with me. She deserves far better than me. But I don't want Hannah to leave me, Joe. Oh God, she's the love of my life, you know? I'm a shy human being without her. I should...
Tell her that.
Flowers. Lots and lots of flowers. All of the flowers.
I just keep imagining people making artwork of all this. Luke filling the house with flowers. Butler carrying drunk Luke to his room.
Enough to make the Queen's Gardens look like a fucking dumpster fire in comparison.
All well and good, but you are not achieving any of that while you are lying on the carpet. Now, if you could lift your skinny ass and work with me. 1, 2, 3.
I know what those are. Those are numbers. 1, 2, and 3, because I've played Phantom of Inferno, which is a really great visual novel. I played it on DVD, though.
But I don't want to go to bed. The moon is so pretty tonight.
I should just let you sleep on the ground, Bratwurst.
Well, that was a fun new scene. Where's our journal? Luke left Hannah in Johanna's care after the incident at the kitchen. Pissed off at recent events and a possible divorce looming on the horizon, he dedicated the rest of his day to getting hammered, stopping only after his butler intervened.
Tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow creeps in this petty face from day to day.
That's his pace.
Come on, Mummy, wake up. I want to be in that play. Mummy, wake up. You promised that you'd help me practice my lines today. The auditions are tomorrow, so I have to practice. The last syllables of recorded time, and all our yesterdays have lighted fools. The way to Dusty. Mummy, are you...
I choke back a scream and wake up in a cold sweat. With my heart pounding in my ears, it takes a while to remember where I am. In the dark and cold of the room, one can't fault me for feeling ill at ease. It isn't as bright as the penthouse, and the renovations did little to change how old it feels. We've been here for less than a week. It'll take a bit more time to adjust. It's hard to feel cozy, though, when it's bloody freezing. Nudging the lump of fabric next to me, I sigh.
It's cold. Don't hug the sheets, Hannah.
She always did this, though it hardly bothers me. Growing up, I was lucky to have something to use as a mattress. Not the one who grew up accustomed to Egyptian cotton. We've seen this already. Let's see. The poor Adair is ill, though I loathe to think about what has just transpired.
Don't make me pull those sheets off you. That blanket is large enough to cover an elephant. You'll need to share.
It takes a while.
What was that, honey? Apologies. I'm just in the loo, so if you can give me a moment.
Where's the bathroom in this room? There's no sign that they'll be moving where they lie. With care, I go for a knife hidden under my side of the bed. It would be foolish of me to instigate anything while I'm unarmed, after all. To pull up the covers would be a more difficult affair, because reaching out to uncover who was underneath, I have to prepare for anything and assume the worst. If I so much as see the nozzle of a gun, there's going to be murder tonight. I know they say not to bring a knife to a gunfight, but I think I can sink a blade in his liver faster than he can point and aim. I see the rise and fall of the sheets, though it could easily be mistaken as the fault of the breeze. I hear their breathing. A great sense of foreboding comes over me, making me hesitate with my plan. I should just get Hannah and myself out of here, not look back and let security handle it. That's what they're here for. Or maybe I should just man up. There's no way I'm risking the chance that inaction will put Hannah in danger. What's the worst that could happen, right? I have no reason to be afraid. There's no boogeyman under the bed, no monster in my closet. If anything, these things should be afraid of me. Right? I grab a fistful of sheets and throw them aside. Nothing. Same as last time. Luke woke up in the middle of the night with a scream and a cold sweat. Finding comfort in the warm body next to his, he tried to get back to sleep and forget the images plaguing his mind, until Hannah called out from the loo. Nothing but a bunch of pillows staring back at me. Pillows don't have eyes. Must be my imagination. I'd rather not think I'm going mad. It could very well be the stress getting to me, after all this drama with Hannah. I've been doing well all these years, all things considered. I guess I do have a breaking point, but still, the world goes on even if one cannot, and I must go along with it. I suppose a day off or two tomorrow wouldn't hurt. Rest aside from a few hours of sleep will be welcome, more than. But I can't shake off the unease. I dare say that I feel afraid, irrationally so, that something will come creeping and crawling from under the bed, even as I lay back down and close my eyes. The odd dreams don't linger, thankfully, but with the morning comes another disturbance, both too loud and too sharp for my tastes. This should be the thing with Zachary, and I have very fine tastes. When the piercing rings of a doorbell reaches even the bedroom, I'm very much inclined to think the person who built this place lacks any sense of it. Perhaps the only thing good in this is that the ruckus has chased away the needling guilt from last night's commotion, if only temporarily. Still, it's bloody annoying distraction. I can tell already that it's going to be a long day. It hasn't even started.
Gordon Bennett! Only a Nancy would knock at such an ungodly hour! Where's that damn butler when I need him?
I'll be honest, if only for today, with a mansion this quiet at this hour of the morning, it's easy to believe those little ghost stories might be real. But the only horror here is how long Hana's patience with me will last after the incident at the party. Neither the deafening silence nor the biting chill spreading across every room in the place. There's no place for fear when another set of problems already burns that fuel, so I wait for another second. When no butler still answers my call, I simply yank the door open myself, perhaps with more force than needed. Why is it not letting me skip? Come on, I'm just gonna mean twice. Merely doing his job.
You? What in... It's... Listen, oh, unlike you, the ones living in this house need... Come...
In the meantime, I've got a bigger problem at hand, a hangover. Maybe I'll have some absinthe to temper it, dog hairs, or some wine to help me get back to sleep. It's still early, 1 glass won't hurt, or 2. Whatever the case, I need to think. Whatever that will lead me to. I'm not an ending where he dies of alcohol poisoning. It's nothing. Everything leads to nothing. Except for this pounding headache as if my mind will burst at any time and leak out of my ears. My vision swims in and out of view. My stomach threatens rebellion, with plans of making me throw up what little food I've taken in, with how my mouth feels like it's filled with cotton. One would think that the fact that I'm hungover would make me the grumpiest person in the room. But as it is, my eyes move over to Hana, who is stirring sugar into her tea and scowling down in it. All the while, it's if it has just murdered a baby in front of her. I have half a mind to bemoan my current state and make a fool of myself just to make her smile. And I'm rather good at bemoaning. Not that I would admit that. Why, I'm already adopting the posture of a whiny teenager as I speak, slouched forward with my cheek on the table.
Oh, I'm dying! Oh, God, I'm dying! Hana! Johans, call an ambulance, please! Let it be known that I leave all my belongings to Hana right near Evans. Everything but 30,000 quid. But oh, I see a bright light. I see a farm.
What's gonna happen with the 30,000 quid?
Mother dearest, is that you? Little Lucille is on his way home. I'm so sorry, but I must leave you, Hana. Cover my face. Your eyes dazzle. I die young.
It's a shame he never got that part in that play. Would have been funny. How much I can manage through the hangover, a thing entirely of my fault, considering I'm twice drunk the night before. Another thing I will never admit. Really, it's a miracle I haven't accrued alcohol poisoning yet.
Oh, stop being so melodramatic, Luke. Besides, you never lived in a farm. You hate farms. We are not bringing you to the hospital for a hangover. Really. One would think you'd be used to it by now with how stubborn you are about your drinks. Dare I ask what the 30,000 quid is for, though?
He pulls a small smile from her for a moment, but the pinched look on her face returns quickly.
He lost a bet with Robert and Elise after a night of drinking at the Crawl. 10,000 each. And another 10 to me.
The sneer that makes its way on my face doesn't hold as much heat as it usually does. It's just a bit of friendly ribbing. Though I still wish he wouldn't tattle. Of course, it was my fault for mentioning the money. It wasn't like anyone would notice 30 grand missing from millions, though. That's how much I spend on a normal weekend.
Oh, must you be such a teacher's pet? I told you not to talk about it.
I'm having second thoughts about moving to the penthouse. If this is what you do when I'm not looking.
Oh, you're hooking up with Marianne. I've almost forgotten about that little arrangement, too. Shame. Hopefully that's the reason why she's so intent on glaring at the table until its varnish peels off. The alternative would be sobering.
It was that one time. I'm not a child in need of minding or mother hens. As much as I'd love for you to stay, you said you need some time to yourself. Don't let the fact that I lost a bet once make you think I have to be supervised.
He does, but Johannes is here.
It wasn't. I'm just worried about you, Luke. I'd be less so if you actually sat up.
Why are you worried about me? I'm more concerned about what your doctor told you. How did the house call go?
I didn't want to intrude on her privacy when the doctor arrived, a ridiculous sentiment considering I am still her husband. but it wasn't like I could have done any good being there, what with nursing a hangover and all. However, a part of me feared what would be said, not to mention I trust that Hana would tell me if it was something serious. Of course, it probably is something bad, and I would be a fool to hope otherwise. I found her having a seizure, for goodness sake. I should have rushed her to the hospital as soon as she woke, but it was her insistence that kept me at bay. She had a bad case of being possessed. A cup of tea finds itself in my hands, an attempt to appease me, no doubt. But I don't bother to drink, let alone look up. If anything, I just press my forehead on the table to hide the childish pout on my lips. Not that this is any better.
It was fine. The physician took some of my blood, and he scheduled me for a few lab tests tomorrow morning. I've already called for a driver and attendant to accompany me, so there's no need for you to worry.
And what? You'll just be leaving me behind then? And I don't think you should be going anywhere alone.
You hate hospitals even more than you hate farms, Luke. And Kylie's coming for your play date tomorrow, remember? Relax. I'm taking Johans with me if it makes you feel better.
But that's my butler.
Herr Dr. Hobbs asked that I keep her under observation for the time being. Naturally, I'll be reporting my findings at the hospital.
Sitting up, I run a finger over the rim of my teacup and mull it over. I do hate the bloody place. I thought hiring Shrokin would have been enough for me to avoid it. Apparently not. Bloody doctors and bloody sick people. I don't want to catch anything contagious. I can't even tell crying people to shut up if they get too annoying. Respecting their grief my arse. Save for a life or death situation, I'd rather avoid the mass graveyard that hid beneath the sterile air and white tiles.
I guess you two can go without me. But I can't believe how naturally you two conspire behind my back. Don't expect my help if those bloody doctors bleed you two dry. Vampires, every single one of them. Not as bad as lawyers and politicians, but close enough.
That's where Ashton should have been looking.
You do know Carly will be upset when she finds out you're not here tomorrow. Again.
She'll be happy enough to spend time with her fairy godfather, I'm sure. You're a good role model for her, despite your whining.
No matter how many times Hana claims that whining is unbecoming of me, I never listen. It's not like anyone that matters here is here to judge. It's not like anyone else actually matters. I'll whine if I bloody well want to, and I'll be no lesser because of it. Of course, I won't tolerate another person's whining. Except perhaps for Hana, but she hardly ever does that. Even right now, I can see as a look of pain passes on her face and her hand goes to her stomach. And she keeps quiet, not bringing it up or complaining. Call for an ambulance. Let's try calling for an ambulance. Hana did like that. But we're not trying to hook up with Hana, so there's no thought behind it as I procure my mobile from my pocket and dial for emergency services. The curious looks thrown my way are largely ignored when I get up to my feet and make my way to the door.
Hans, go and bring the car around. We'll meet the ambulance halfway in Anselm.
Ambulance? Luke, I'm fine. There's no need to call for an ambulance.
This is him being nice, Hana.
Yes, there is. Hobbs is obviously a gormless, incompetent muppet if he can't get you a hospital appointment today. After you've had a bloody goddamn seizure at that. I'm not waiting until you have another one.
With my back turned to them, I didn't expect any sort of resistance, so I was largely unprepared as Hana grabs my hand and tries to take the phone away from me. It takes a bit, of course, considering how weakened the woman is with her recent condition. I mean, this is one time I'm on Luke's side, because, like, go to the hospital already. But I do not wish to hurt her by accident. She soon slaps the phone out of my hand in protest, and I can only stare wide-eyed and furious.
What in blazes are you doing, Hana?
Maybe this is a mood swing.
Emergency 112, this is being recorded. What's your emergency?
My wife hit my phone.
I am fine, Luke. There's no need for an ambulance.
That's the ghost talking.
We are not taking any chances with your help, especially since you insist that you'll be leaving soon. I do not want to visit one day only to find you bedridden and in need of a nursemaid. Or worse.
I'm glad the voice actor corrected that, because it says or worst in the script.
Hello? Hello? Do we need to send the police to break up a domestic dispute?
There's pause as the dispatcher's voice continues to ring out on the thing's speakers. It is all ill-timed and unwelcome, but that doesn't change the fact that it was already said. Domestic dispute. The words put a bitter taste in my mouth. Like, why would you ask that if there's two people fighting and they're like, oh no, it's fine. Like, one of them could be lying or threatening the other. What will the others think if they hear of this? It's not true, of course. We are merely arguing. This is normal. People argue. Our shouting stops, but neither of us make a move to pick it up until the butler does to answer.
My apologies, it is a mistaken dial. A butt dial, as you say.
The police have to check these things out.
But there's nothing to worry about. It's just a young couple being melodramatic. You know how they are nowadays.
That's one of the kidnappers talking. Come and save us.
Can we verify with the affected parties?
I want to scream. There's nothing fine about this, but Hana shouts and her words make me forget what I was saying in the first
I'm
place.
fine. I just need some tea, some rest, and some peace from you.
Excuse me for Karen. The anger in her voice is palpable. The way she looks at me, brows furrowed and mouth nearly a snarl, has me reeling. Of course she doesn't want me around. That's probably why she's leaving after all. She wants her space, my arse. It's all a bunch of excuses, a bunch of bullocks. Then the anger dies away and her face goes pale, eyes wide as she realizes what she's done. There's regret, but it's already been said, and those words cannot be taken back.
I'm sorry, Luke. I didn't mean it that way. You're just...
Just what? Nosy, annoying, overbearing, belligerent, not wanted, stressful to be around?
Is the operator still on the line?
Please do go on and continue what you were saying before I so rudely interrupted you.
I wasn't going to say any of that. Luke,
No, actually, you know what? You're so desperate to be rid of me, I'll give you that satisfaction. You don't need to suffer my presence any longer. I'm going out. Don't bother waiting up for me.
I walk out of the parlor, rage in my every step. He's stomping. Literally stomping like a child. Where are we at? It's drunk Luke and angry Hana. Come Sunday morning, Luke woke up with a hangover to Hana's utter displeasure. Regardless, she informed him of her plans to see a doctor back in the city. Something her husband fussed about, immediately calling an ambulance, therefore irritating Hana. Neither of them bothers to follow, which suits me just fine. When I realize I still have the teacup in my hand, I can't stop myself from throwing it across the room. Porcelain shatters as it hits the wall, and tea spills across the carpet. Outside, I need to go outside, away from this house, away from them. I need to breathe. Breathe. Save. Are we gonna encounter the maid? I've been thinking of both my dear parents far too much as of late. When I shouldn't, I have a future to look forward to and the present to take care of. These memories of the past give me nothing but grief. The life of Lucille Mitchell Chandler should be nothing but a footnote in Luke Wright's non-existent autobiography. It's because of Hana, isn't it? I worry that she is all too much like Mother, that it scares me, and the thought that I'm turning into my father is even more so. But even if history is so set to repeat itself, I'm not a child anymore. Content to sit aside, unable to do anything to help, and too inexperienced to think that the worst wouldn't happen. I have money to buy the best medicines and doctors if need be. She'll get better, she has to. And once we get over this little bump in the road, I can stop worrying. All will be right with the world. Unfortunately, my time alone is cut short though.
I think those flowers look beautiful, my lord. The parlor, the room where the lady stays for her tea. It could certainly use some.
Won't let me skip now? Nope.
Didn't you get the memo? Today is a day off.
Oh,
Because we've already seen this.
look at me. If you'll excuse me, I'll just... Look at me, talking to the master of the house without even asking for permission. What will the others think? If you'll excuse me, I'll just...
I haven't driven you away yet, have I? And it's your day off. I don't see why we can't chat a bit.
Of course. If that is what you wish. As long as it does not get you into trouble with the lady.
I think she had to have had a conversation like this with Edward.
To even take time for someone as lowly as me. No wonder that everyone under the mansion's employ is so fond of you.
That should have been your first hint she's not talking about you.
Though it should have no longer been a surprise to me. You have always been such a kind and loving lord.
I have to stop myself from calling her out on her shite. It's almost as if she's talking about an entirely different man. No matter how big my ego gets, I know for a fact that I'm hardly in the running for Best Boss of the Year award. The only reason that most of my staff stay is because of the decent compensation. I'm not cheap. But if she wants to lay it on thick, I'll allow it. Who wouldn't want a beautiful woman complimenting them?
I'm sure she'll be fine with this. We are just talking after all. Unless you had other things on your mind when you approached me.
The words leave my mouth before I even realize what I've said. I panic a bit. Though I can get away with picking up women out in the city, sometimes even out of the country, I've always taken care not to do so in my home or in my businesses. Not when it'll be so easy for Hana to find out about my infidelity through these channels. Though seriously, I still don't see what the big deal about it is. I just have an itch I need to scratch.
I know it must be amusing to see a girl flustered for a man of your stature. But please don't say such things, my lord. I saw you alone and simply thought you could use some company.
Thankfully, and I do count my lucky stars, it seems the woman takes it as a joke rather than the casual pass it was intended to be.
So how are you liking your work around the mansion? The place is wonderful, but I imagine the upkeep is ungodly with all the rooms and whatnot. I don't even want to think about how many people are on the staff roster.
Work is work, my lord. It is a way of living. A purpose from day to day. It is certainly far better than doing nothing or having no food to eat.
I wonder why Charlotte helped her in the first place.
The house itself is also beautiful. There's no lack of things to look at. I'm sure you've seen those books in the study. I can't read any of them yet, but if given the chance, I'm sorry. I shouldn't be thinking of those things, especially when the rains. They might bring more work to us soon. It will definitely be much more difficult when it returns. Idling about is the least I should be doing.
I guess you can put it that way if you want to be brutally honest about the whole thing. And the rain shouldn't be a problem, hopefully. Maybe.
If a little dreary, at least she doesn't beat around the bush. I like the honesty. Many would bemoan their status as a household staff, as a janitor or other menial role, and believe themselves to be for greater things. And I would not begrudge the idea that one can always get better. One shouldn't be so discontent with what they have, either.
The rain is something I simply must get accustomed to, if I am to live here. I've not spent long in this place after all.
Does it not rain in your country?
But I have been told that it has rained in this nation since a mother's time, and their mother's time. There is little we can do about it. I am just glad to have time in the sun, even for a short while.
Isn't that the truth? Really, these sunny days have been welcome, though I can't imagine they'll last for long. Sometimes I just want to pack my things and leave for somewhere like, say, the Bahamas or whatnot. Get some sun and surf.
But certainly, you will return for us, won't your people? They won't be pleased if the master of the house leaves.
Of course, I can't very well leave my businesses hanging here, can I? I just wish I could actually trust people enough to go on vacation without taking work with me. I've also got to get back here if I ever want proper meals. A proper pudding is something you'll never find out there.
It is not a proper meal. The woman nods in understanding, and I must say that she makes for a fine listening ear. What she says next gave me pause, whether she meant for me to hear it or not.
And good tea. From what the cook has been telling me, I've yet learned how to prepare one. Perhaps once I do, it would endear the lady of the house to me. I never expected her to be so unkind after what she did for me. Though it's only if one catches her in a foul mood. I wish I knew how to avoid her anger.
I highly doubt she means Hana. That woman rarely has a mean bone in her body. And when she actually is nasty towards someone else, it's usually deserving enough, much like with that Rochelle woman. Hell, she even tolerates Harvey for me, even if she did admit that she does not quite like the man. She must mean the head housemaid, right? I have to laugh at that. Not that I have room to speak, I don't deal with her myself anymore, though even Johannes has had a few choice words about the head hag. She's just been under the right employee, and she was also a head housemaid for my father, and if anyone's not going to get along with someone, it'd be that crotchety old woman. I don't even remember her name, but the woman had been this strict, upstart bitch, who took one look at me, her master's bastard son, and turned her nose up, as if she were better by mere consequence of birth. Why does she still work for you? That and she absolutely loathed my very existence. Perhaps the rumors had been true. She had a miscarriage while bearing another one of dearest father's children, and she saw me as an obstacle to her being granted a better standing in life. I remember that much at least. The only reason I haven't sacked her yet is because of her competence. All because working under my household makes her absolutely miserable, her resignation made impossible by her pride.
Nobody really gets along with that woman. I think everyone just tolerates her because of how old she is. I mean, not to be rude or awful or anything, but she's at the age where she'll be pushing daisies soon enough.
I mean, in that age, I guess.
Is she? Really, my lord? I'm sure the lady is much younger than that.
I think the thought of tormenting the young and beautiful gives her reason to live.
It does seem that way. Though I feel sorry for her. One's life should not be wasted away on hatred and anger. It is never good for the heart or the head to always carry ill thoughts.
Well, you will change your tune soon enough, lady.
But at the least, you are here for us. We are certainly so lucky to have a lord like you. The lady even more so. The gods smile down on her. Though, if I may be honest, she is to be envied.
Even when I have my suspicions about her, she's just so easy to talk with, I've forgotten. I don't know who she is and if she's actually one of the household staff. That would explain why she may so easily give obviously wrong statements about my character. Though if she is here for malicious reasons, she would have done more than do small talk with me by now, wouldn't she? I have so many questions. Perhaps curiosity will kill this cat.
It's strange that I've never seen you before. What's your name?
You do not remember?
I don't believe you've mentioned it, or am I missing something?
You still cannot comprehend it. Can you, my lord?
Her answer chips away at the good mood I'm starting to get into. I have every right to be angry at the cryptic response. She threatens insubordination with her very presence alone. But instead of hurling vitriol at the woman, I take a deep breath. I do not want my rude wound further than it already is. Not right now when I can let my temper take its course to another time.
Whatever your name is, and no matter how long you've been working for us, that does not change the fact that you shouldn't be here. I'll call you a cab to bring you to the city if you want.
Shouldn't I? What if I do not wish to leave? I merely desire to stay by your side and serve. Is that such a deplorable thing?
Her gaze sends chills down my spine. It's too easy to see the devotion, the obsession in her eyes, not the good sort either, as her scrutiny makes me feel like I'm laid bare. The offness of her presence is all the more palpable with the feeling of bugs crawling on my skin and the silence that makes it seem as if the world has stopped. And any friendly atmosphere we might have had going for us is completely forgotten. Danger, a small part in the back of my mind screams, the part that has kept me alive all these years. And in hindsight, I'd be stupid not to take heed of it. But I've grown arrogant, complacent, and content to hide behind wealth and power.
Yes, it's a deplorable thing, as you said, because I'd like to be alone now. Thank you very much. You didn't want the day off, you should have reported to your superior. This is utterly unprofessional of you, and I shall be issuing complaints. In fact, if you know it's good for you, you should start looking for another employer.
It's at my threat that the smile on her face turns tight.
I see. It escapes you still. This is unfortunate.
The ghost can't communicate either.
How despairing that this misery must go on. But maybe, if you come with me, I can help you. I can...
When she reaches out for me, I recoil with a hiss.
How dare you lay your filthy hands on me without my permission? I am not going anywhere with you. Now step back and walk away before I have you forcibly removed.
As if a switch had been flipped, the woman's expression turns horrific, although that may very well be the understatement of the century. She herself turns horrific. Her presence is suffocating, bearing down on me. I'm rooted to the spot through no fault of my own as fear paralyzes.
You are too much like that vile woman. Poisoned by her rotten influence and her filthy words.
Yes, she means Charlotte.
But that can be remedied now that you're here. Oh, how we have waited to welcome you home. Come, my lord. The house beckons.
When her fingers grasp the back of my coat, I finally find that I made a break off into a run. See, this is kind of a weird thing. Like, they apparently want the Lord to come back, but, like, theoretically, shouldn't his ghost be haunting this place, too? And Luke ultimately isn't him. So, I don't know. Even if they tried to do some reincarnation thing, like, that would still seem a little weird. Oh, yeah. Wanting some alone time and fresh air, Luke excused himself, lingering in the gardens as he remembered the memory of his late mother. Suddenly a beautiful woman appeared by his side, striking up a conversation with him. It was all pleasant at first, until... But I refused to acknowledge it, let alone look back. All I need is to get away from her and make sure she stays away. If that means acting like a coward and seeking out company to keep me safe, nobody can tell me to do otherwise. Bravery isn't something to be lauded if it comes along with stupidity. Not that I have much of an audience unless there are other members of the staff who choose to disregard my orders for them to leave. Really, I still doubt that woman is one of the staff. Mustering up the courage, I look back through the windows to see if she followed me. She's gone. But I don't take any chances, putting as much distance as I can between us. Somebody catch my breath. Johanna's sudden appearance nearly makes me jump out of my skin.
Don't fucking do that, you son of a bitch! If I had any...
But what happened?
Oh, if it only were a delusion, but I can still feel her sharp nails digging in my back. The feeling was too real for it to have been a ghost. Well, I'm pretty sure it was a ghost.
There was his housekeeper. I think, I'm not sure. In the gardens. She was acting odd, and I thought to remove myself from the scene.
Strange. I made sure the rest of the staff had left and that the house was empty, as you requested. Describe this woman.
She had pale skin, dark eyes, and long, dark hair. She wouldn't give me her name.
I half expect a name from him. The man knows the staff better than I do, after all. But instead of an answer, he grows quiet. I'm pretty sure that is not a good thing. I'm even more worried when the other man looks me over. I have to protest when he pulls back my collar.
What in the bloody hell are you doing?
Checking for marks. Needle marks, to be exact. We don't have anyone like that among the staff. You could have easily been kidnapped.
A cold feeling settles itself over me at the thought. I've long established my power over the more unsavory characters in Luxborn. Or I thought I had. And the most harm I thought that could come to me would be slander, robbery, or incarceration. Kidnapping? An attempt on my own person? I've forgotten that I'm as human or mortal as any other man despite my wealth and status.
Fortunately, you look unharmed. But I advise that you be accompanied by trusted individuals at all times from now on. If not me, an assigned guard. I'll be informing them of this soon as they return from their day in the city.
Already I can feel the energy leave me at the realization of what could have been.
All right. Yes, I suppose we should do that. But I think I'd like to call it a day. I should be safe in bed, yes?
I mean, you and Hana had that fight this morning.
I'll stand guard outside for the night. The madam has been inquiring about you, by the way.
A guard. Any other threat and he alone would be enough to make me feel safe. What I saw, whatever it is I saw, would one man be enough?
That's all well and good, but there's something else. That housekeeper, she...
Luke, you're home. I was worried about you.
The grin that I can muster is probably lopsided. Forced as I snap my mouth shut to keep myself blabbing about witches and monsters. Because here I am standing in the hallway, dirt on my pant legs and sweat dotting my forehead. A far cry from my usually pristine condition. I don't want to worry Hana. A cough.
What happened to you? You look like you wrestled in the mud and lost, dear. And those flowers. Were you gardening?
What? Oh, these. I didn't realize I still had them.
I really did not. But there they are, still in my grip, the daffodils I had taken from the garden. Even in the wake of my flight, I refused to let go of them, whether I was conscious of it or not.
Shall I put them in a vase?
Well, we have to pick the mean option, so... throw them away! Looking at them only brings terrible thoughts, a horrible sense of ennui, if one will. They're for Mother. I want to confess, I want to cry out, break down for reasons that escape me. I've grown weak. But I choke, because even Hana, sweet Hana, doesn't know the importance of these flowers. I could never bring myself to give that up. Everything else I've laid bare to her. Everything but this. Hana knows me as Lucille Mitchell, son of Damien Wright, but not son of Eleanor Chandler. I've always feared that, even with her kindness, she would think lesser of me if she knew.
I was just pruning. No, I'll probably kill the thing rather than help it. Why don't you make yourself useful and throw these away?
I shoved the flowers into Johanna's arms without a second thought, hoping that they'd misinterpret my guilty look for one of discomfort and annoyance. The goat is ridiculous, though. Flowers do nothing for the dead.
You could have told the gardener to do it tomorrow, Luke. I know you're meticulous about those flowers, but asking for help isn't going to kill you.
I was bored. Anyway, what's done is done. You can clean up what I left behind in the morning.
I expect a scolding of some sort, but none came as she only shakes her head with a sigh. For once, I'm allowed to sleep without further incident, though the rest does not come easy. I didn't get any sleep, not a single wink. I was so busy jumping at every shadow and worrying about waking with a knife in my chest. Or not waking at all, even when Hana wakes in spite of a mild fever and goes downstairs for breakfast. I stay in bed, thoughts of poisoned food running in my head. The rain has started sometime during the night. Doesn't help the mood. Okay, maybe it helps just a little. The strange sunny weather has been nice and all, but for it to return as it should be feels like a good sign of things to come. Perhaps things will settle back to normal and that crazy drama that has gone on lately will die down. I would hate to be caught unawares in this rain, and with how it looks outside, it seems that the weather is making up for all the sunny days it's given us with a good old-fashioned downpour. The rhythmic pitter-patter of the rain fills the early morning silence with a steady beat. Thank goodness I don't have to be anywhere in a hurry today. I would hate to be caught unawares in this rain. You just said that. What? It's repeating the same lines! It does let up with a quarter of an hour. However, a day beginning with a cloudburst like this, locals usually take it as an immediate sign. Luxmorn's abysmal weather is back, likely for good. See. We spoke with Leaky Brain. Well, Hana technically paid millions for this place. She was just starting to enjoy the sunlight. I will have to get up and about eventually, this is given, but I'm not too keen on seeing or talking to Hana before she leaves for the hospital. Or eventually, in a few days' time, this bloody house. Kylie won't like it if she comes here only to find me in a bad mood. If you would dare rouse me from bed, being able to keep their jobs is incentive enough. I trust they realize that now is not a good time to force me into anything. Maybe I can just get an hour or two of sleep before Suarez drops his brat off at the mansion steps. If only. But as always, somebody has to be a buzzkill.
Are you really going to stay in bed all day?
What do you want?
You must have been really rattled by what happened yesterday.
And you aren't even the slightest bit bothered.
I was worried. But my worrying will... I know you two aren't getting along.
Nosy
But
bugger.
you should at least see the madam off before we leave. Think of her as a business associate if you must. It would not do to part on bad terms.
It's far too early to deal with your nosiness.
That's none of his business. None of it. If he remembers his place, he'll drop it. I don't want to talk to Hana. Not now, when I've been so high-strung and paranoid. This whole thing is a bloody mess with everything going off at once. I'm afraid that, with our troubles, I'll misinterpret anything she might say or do. That'd just make the whole thing worse.
Are there any updates about the woman?
Being in the dark has me on edge.
I've already briefed...
Oh, finally letting us skip. Thank goodness. Kylie's here. Thankfully, she will lecture us about going to the hospital, although I wouldn't kind of want to go to the hospital with Hannah after how she acted. But I didn't know any better. I'd say the kid is trying to make me feel guilty, though I don't know if the bitter taste in my mouth is that or something else entirely. I really don't have time to process what the emotion is as the brat opens her mouth
You
again.
should have gone with her to the hospital. Hospitals are scary, you know.
Exactly why I didn't go. I don't like hospitals, Kylie. That's all there is to it.
So you're not angry at Tia?
Why would I be angry at her? It isn't her fault she got sick.
I heard you and Tia are fighting. I heard that you might not be together anymore.
Who's telling her all this stuff? I have to stop her there. Sure, it's easy for people to jump to conclusions and presume that we might be fighting, no thanks to Rochelle. But it's not common knowledge that things have actually gone sour, and to put it in her terms, that we might not be together anymore.
Oh, well, where did you hear this from?
I heard it from a nice maid lady.
What do I pay these people for?
But that's still no excuse. Not when she's sick. She needs someone to hold her hand and bring her soup and make her drink medicine.
I'm livid. Livid that one of my employees might gossip. And to a child of all people. Who says such upsetting things to a child? Unless she means the ghost. But my anger dies out when Carly starts to tear up. She holds it back in an effort to not seem childish, I assume. Though I am honestly confused as to why such news would upset her so.
Oh, no. Look, Kylie, there's no need to cry.
He got really muffled at the beginning. I don't know what happened there.
I'm not going to cry.
Are you sure? You've got no reason to cry. Even if Hana and I won't be together anymore, you can still visit me and I can still visit you.
Yeah, he's not technically her godfather. Hana is the godmother, and he just happened to be married to Hana.
That's not the problem. Why don't you and Tia love each other anymore?
I still love her, Munchkin, and I'd like to think your Tia still does too.
Love herself? Isn't that the truth? I love her, I'm just a total shite at showing it. And a small part of me screams that I was not worthy to be her husband in the first place, no matter how hard I deny it. Perhaps at another time, another place, another me, I would have confessed that the whole world is nothing compared to her.
Well, why are you two fighting? You grown-ups are so stupid sometimes.
Why? Because I'm a prat, probably. Motioning for her to come closer, I wrap my arms around her and rub her back in an attempt to comfort the child. Only when I feel her tears soak into my jacket do I realize there might be something else to her worries. I've heard Suarez is not getting along too well with his wife, as of late, because of how busy he is with work. Really, I was fully tempted to just brush her question off and say that it's a grown-up thing. I could content myself in pretending that this isn't happening, but it seems like she needs to hear this. That just makes it all the more painful to try and explain this, because I have to explain it to not only Kylie, but also for myself.
Sometimes, people fall out of love. Or they think they've fallen out of love and need time apart. It's not necessarily a bad thing. They might be angry at each other, or they might feel sad. They need time for themselves, to think about each other. To know if there is still love. Maybe they'll be back together again. Or maybe it's better for both of them to move on, instead of staying together and hurting each other, pretending they still love each other.
There is nothing final, but here we are, at a crossroads where the wrong step might end in heartbreak. Hana thinks we need some time apart, but we aren't done just yet.
But yes, grown-ups can be rather stupid.
You're still gonna be my friend? No matter what, Tio?
Of course, my life would be less exciting without a little brat like you running around and making a mess of it. And you better stay my friend, even when I get all old and wrinkly.
Kylie's shoulders shake in laughter. She pulls away and gives me a toothy grin.
You're already old! But don't worry. When you die, I'll burn you and put you in a jar so I can keep you forever! Just like they did with Abuelo!
That's surprisingly dark. My thoughts come to a grinding halt in her words, yet she goes on as if she hasn't just said such an odd thing. Why, it almost seems like the tyke is looking forward to my funeral. As if there is no confused expression on my face, she pulls me back to our drawings, commenting on the state of my weird dog.
I think your puppy would look better in magenta.
That was the weirdest conversation. Where is our update at? Yeah. Nothing actually different about that journal entry. Save. Repeated dialogue. Drawing with a ghost in it. In the ballroom. Being haunted. Ghost is gonna show up, we gotta run. Run into Shrokin. Go upstairs. I think Hana's missing. So we don't learn about the babies. I think maybe if we have a better relationship with her. Or she doesn't go missing, maybe. Maybe that's an ending thing. And downstairs, intruders.
What? Let off it.
Still the same dialogue that it never lets us skip because there's one minor difference.
And really, well, what's your...
Please, Rebecca, we ain't...
Don't pause. What's real? This is... Why don't we...
No, fine, let's skip this part at least.
Help me. Please.
Bumping into Luke after his flight from the ballroom, Jonas quickly ushered the paranoid manager's room with a house of security look for trespassers, only to be greeted by a room devoid of Hana, who was supposed to have arrived with the butler. And then the ghosts. Wait.
Everything you're doing is useless, Ashton Frey. And now, you're dying. Meddlesome fool.
I've always been cautious and careful, cutting off trouble's head before things could escalate if I'm able. That's why I deal with the likes of Harvey, Suarez, and Johannes. We never do meet Suarez. For all who we are, for all the enemies the likes of us can make, for such a thing has never happened before, because I do everything to make sure it doesn't happen. So to see Hana in danger, I don't quite know how to feel or what to do. Of all the times for there to be a hostage situation, this is even one. Why now? Fucking God, what is going on here? You were literally holding people hostage 2 seconds ago and someone died.
Help me. Please. Please make it stop.
I think death would be preferable if my sense of self-preservation was shot to high hell. It would deprive me of a choice and of responsibility in the matter. I don't want to think about how fast my heart beats so that I hardly hear anything other than my own heartbeat and her pleading.
Please. They're in my head. Screaming. It hurts so much.
What do I do? What can one do against someone holding your life in their hands? With a woman that looks more monster than man. I mean, she's a woman. When her expression turns into one of amusement and horrific laughter fills the air, I'm torn apart. This is my fault, isn't it? Hana's in danger because of me. Everybody I love always ends up hurt or worse. And even when I choose to let her go, she's no exception. Hana's unbroken begging makes it all the much more painful, because I still love Hana, I really do. But will I really endanger myself for a woman who might not love me back anymore? Still, something in me dies a little when that woman laughs as if this is all some sick joke. Her smile taunts me, filling my head with laughter and rage until I can barely think over the cacophony in my head. And the way the woman looks at me, it's as if she's watching, waiting for my next move.
Please. Someone. Anyone. Help me.
Then Marianne rushes in and saves her. This is crazy, and I don't know what I should do. I know for a fact that one shouldn't aggravate a hostage taker. There is no winning an argument with someone who holds a life easily taken. But I need to do something, right? My decision is taken for me, however. Mint is all impetuous and no thought, no holding back as she steps up, her eyes ablaze, afire in anger and defiance. Oh, she's actually doing it. Her jaw and her stance is set, fists curled at her sides, as if she can just sock the something within the face and have it bear no consequences, as it should be ghost or witch. She looks like a warrior saint, and I'd name one of them if I know of any. I wonder what would happen if we didn't boost their relationship. We would just be like, yeah, Hana's screwed. She thankfully does not rush headlong like an idiot, but she falters, the fire in her eyes down to nothing but a small spark when the woman laughs in her face. I mean, I guess I can do it when I just take all their relationships away. There's fear on her face, and that is nothing to settle my worries, and she has the gall to turn her ire on me instead.
What are you doing just standing there when she has Hannah?
Oh, what the bloody hell do you expect me to do?
Get your fucking arse in gear and do anything?
Yes, that's very helpful, McCullough. Telling me to get my arse in gear isn't going to help solve shit here. This isn't some bloody action film where me charging in is going to save anyone. One stupid move from any of us, and Hannah might be dead because of it.
I know she looks like a scary fucker and all, but she's your wife, you gobshite. There must be something.
The woman doesn't look armed, but that doesn't mean she's not dangerous. If anything, the fact that she's this confident, this unperturbed, while being barehanded is a testament to itself. Either she's well prepared or she's just that crazy. And it's one thing to work with hostage takers and another thing entirely to work with the criminally insane. A hush settles over the room as she speaks up. Her voice is but a whisper and deathly slow, and I'm hard-pressed to hear it over the pounding of my heart in my ears. She speaks, the woman from the gardens and the servant girl from the ballroom, from the hallucination, vision, memories, whatever they were.
Will you not speak up for her? Will you not try to save your beloved wife?
I cannot stop the heat from flooding my cheeks, shame turning me red and making me grit my teeth in anger. And that same anger sets a fire in me, burns through the fear. It spurs me on to call her out because of pride.
Why? Will my words hold any sway? Who's to say you won't snap her neck the moment I take one step? Do you take me for an idiot?
I take you for a coward. Nothing but a spineless coward.
Seems she's found what she's looking for, and that she has no further use for Hana. Is Hana about to die? Because I want to pair her up with Makala. She can't die! Unwilling to risk Hana's safety, Luke kept quiet to her disappointment. Although the woman eventually released his wife at Marianne's demands, there was anger and contempt in her face. All of a sudden, it was then that the whole house shifted before his eyes. Hand on Hana's back sends her falling down the stairs. She's nothing but a rag doll thrown away because she's lost interest with her like a child with an old toy. I'm frozen in my place, but Mink catches her, and that sends the two of them sprawling at the foot of the stairs. Looks like she should be injured. Clearly it was a painful landing, further aggravated by the fact that the Irish woman still seems weak. Yet I just watch as she puts Hana's well-being first. She pulls the both of them up to their feet and dusts their clothes off. There's a small strange smile on her face, and a tinge of red, one that I can't entirely attribute to adrenaline, on her face all the while.
You all right there, Hannah? Were you hurt?
The shine in her eyes almost makes me feel jealous, though I don't know who wouldn't be. Mint is a handsome lady. And with the way she looks at Hana, well, anyone would be lucky if Hana ever so much as looks their way.
Oh no, I'm fine, Marianne. Are you alright? I wasn't too heavy, was I?
If Hana doesn't wish to be with me anymore, perhaps she will easily find happiness with another. And McCullough seems like she has the stuff to make her a good significant other.
Well, a little bit. Not that I'm saying you're fat or anything.
Woman's a stick. Hana laughs, out of breath, and she smiles at me, though that disappears as quickly as it appeared. We aren't quite out of the woods yet, and she hasn't forgotten what I did, or rather, what I failed to do. It is only fair, I suppose. I am nothing but a coward in her eyes, a sorry excuse for a man who can't even muster up the courage to protect her. I don't know what anyone expected him to do against an evil psycho ghost lady. And we nearly forget for a moment.
You do not deserve what you have.
Just hearing her voice triggers something in Hana, and she starts to tear up. Her face contorts in one of pain and fear. Min is quick to place her hands on Hana's face so that she looks at her and her alone.
Mrs. Wright, look at me and take deep breaths. She doesn't have you anymore, all right?
I don't know exactly what in the bloody hell's going on, yet I can't find it in me to care. Whoever these people are and whatever they're here for, this is not acceptable. For all I know, this is all some dumb charade to get to me. All the times I've seen the woman before, it could have all been an act to get to me, to get under my skin. And to think they dare hurt Hana? For all the fear that I had felt, seeing her touch Hana, I can only think of her as an actress in grotesque makeup. My hand still shakes, the fear not having quite gone, but anger fills me as I look at the woman, a sneer on my face. Didn't you have a gun? Get your gun back.
How dare you! I don't care who you are, but how dare you touch Hana! I want you out of my house! Out before I call the police and have you put away for the rest of your miserable life! And that goes for all of you!
I hold my ground, firm and strong with my declaration. But the nerve of her, she just laughs in my face. A terrible, dreadful laugh that makes me feel as if there are ants crawling on my skin and maggots squirming in my ears. That wording!
You are telling me to get out of your house. You threatened to lock me up.
Isn't that still Hana's voice? She laughs and she laughs.
What's so funny? What are you laughing at? None of this is funny!
But she persists and it almost feels like her voice is in my head.
Oh, no different. No different. You're all the same. You can all suffer together.
And that is when everything turns to complete and utter shite. Save. I wish you were here with us. Oh yeah, Ashton and Isabella aren't here. It's a slow thing, a whisper, more than a bang in the darkness. Creeps into every corner of the room, the walls shudder and groan. Blood runs from the ceiling, crawls on the walls, and stains the floor. It feels as if life itself is being sucked from the house slowly but surely. Let's see.
What's going on?
Everyone's screaming.
Help me! Stay!
No, stay!
We're
Till there is nothing but silence, her horrid smile and pale hands reaching out to me, calling, beckoning, pleading. I'm terrified, I really am, like I should be, but I have never been one to truly stay afraid. I've long learned that fear will not let me get anywhere. Cowering in a corner doesn't keep me safe.
Stay away!
Remember that this is what you remember together with me.
What is she talking about, Luke? What does she mean?
Don't listen to her, she lies. I promise no such thing to anyone. Hana, you're the one who bought this house. How should I know what she's babbling about? I never even wanted to be here in the first place.
Terrible case of mistaken identity, that must be it. I'm quite sure of it. I don't know this woman, this monster. Why would I say that to someone like her?
Of course, you haven't.
She's lying!
You see, my love, still just like we wait. You can't actually back there. Come.
There's nothing for me here, not anymore, nothing to keep me tied to this place. With Hana planning to leave me, Shroken likely taken by this woman, nothing's left to bind me to this wretched city.
Careful, Luke.
We got the paper. I'm gonna end up trapped in the study.
Understand what you said.
Who's gonna disarm me now? Bloody hell, even Hana's giving me the same looks as them now. The Mint has already gone loon, crouched in a corner and muttering to herself. You can't really say anyone's safe from her. I think she's the one I should watch out for.
Luke, please put that knife away. This isn't going to solve anything.
Hey now, Mr. Right. Roland. You shut your mouth if it was.
Is your life all that matters to you? What about these people here? Don't they have the same problem? What about me, Luke? Do you even care?
Are you taking their side? You're also stuck in this nightmare, Hana. That creature is out to get us, and you're still defending these people.
I'm not defending anyone, Luke. I'm just trying to be reasonable when you're clearly not.
Oh, of course you're not. You're just the one who bought this bloody mansion to begin with. If I didn't know any better, you did this on purpose.
That'd be a cool twist.
Why no? Why would I ever do that? This was only meant to be an anniversary gift for you, for us, for the family we're going to have.
Right, anniversary gift. Oh, here's your gift, darling. Oh, by the way, there's a curse included in that package. I hope that's all right. Are you really that eager to get rid of me, Hana? Because if that's what you've been meaning to do all this time, you might as well just put a knife in my back while I'm...
Suddenly Mint step us. So she's the one who knocks us out instead of Hana. Whoa! She punched us! Before my mind registers what's happening, a sharp blow explodes in the side of my head. She merely stands before me afterwards, without even batting an eye, glaring at me as if she might just rip my head off this instant. I've almost forgotten she's here. Her ramblings haven't faded away in the shouting. Did she forget whose house she's standing in right now? Punching me like that? The nerve of her. There's a new animation for her. And Hana just stands there. Last I checked, she's still married to me.
That's not the proper way to talk to your wife, Mr. Wright.
Marianne, you didn't have to. Please, I'll talk to my husband.
Oh, why don't you just let her say what she wants? Do go on. Since that's what these peasants seem to do these days. Barge into your home, barge in on other people's business. No sense of decorum at all.
Keep talking about us like that, and see if any of us here will keep you out of this place.
The gall of these people. Bloody peasants. My head's already aching just listening to their attempt to defend themselves. But they all take me for someone with half a brain. I should have just stabbed all of them and made a run for it. Doesn't help that with each second we spend talking here, the crazier this whole place gets. One of us here in particular, without warning, amidst the furor, Mint snatches the paper out of my hand. It's a miracle didn't rip.
We should have gotten there. Oh God! This.
We get a journal entry of her punching us. Nope. Just the normal, he's hysterical.
Give me that.
Yep, burning the letter.
For fuck's well, you may now show yourselves out of my property before I call the police on you simpletons.
That was a different line. That was weird. Anything new? Knowing the letter was the source of the entire fiasco, Luke Wright agreed with Mary and McCullough and started burning the paper. Soon enough, the blasted thing turned to dust while the mansion returned to its usual state, freeing them. It's over. Yep, free, so we're gonna get epilogues. I wonder if Luke gets an interesting epilogue, or is it just the same one we keep getting for him? Like, yeah, Luke got found out and then he left. Yep, mansion's put back on the market. That's still the same. Oh hey, they're getting paper. Unable to settle their differences, Hana Wright eventually files for a divorce from Luke Wright. For several months, they've become the subject of gossips in the mass media in the city. In spite of this, the two have uncharacteristically remained tight-lipped on the circumstances of their separation. Though many assumed it was the inevitable falling out stemming from the trouble during the couple's housewarming party. To everyone's surprise, however, Luke Wright quietly accepts the court's decision and disappears from the Evans-Harris's life without creating much fuss. Even after Hana Evans has given birth to their children months later, the man is rarely seen around the family. Merely leaving his children paltry gifts in the mailbox whenever he's in town, never showing his face. Yep, same thing. With the Wright couple separation also comes the Wright-Evans conglomerate split up. Although the Wright enterprise still manages to do well in the business, with Evans Incorporated back as a competitor, another tech leak places its CEO and the company under legal spotlight months later. This time, however, with the Chief Inspector Harvey Lee's sudden absence, the businessman isn't able to escape close scrutiny. Yep, ears come to light. And he flees the country. To this day, no one has heard of him, not even Hannah Evans. Some people seeing him flitting out of the city. Following the company split, Hannah Evans reestablishes Evans Incorporated, becoming its CEO like her late father has always wanted for her. Oh, look at Hannah in her little uniform. Though a bit out of practice and doubted by many people at first, the Evans heiress quickly finds her bearings and proves to be every bit as talented in the business as her parents. Soon under her management, the new Evans Inc. flourishes, becoming one of the prime investment finance companies in Luxbourne City. Months after her recovery, Marianne McCullough heads back to her homeland, ready to close a chapter of a past she has left hanging for so long. There, she visits Lorraine's grave, asking for forgiveness from the girl she once loved, something she has intentionally avoided for years. Although the terror of what she has witnessed inside the Ermengarde mansion still clings to her, she bravely chooses to move on from it, turning a new leaf by focusing on a branch of her interior design company and leaving her interior design company at Luxbourne in the hands of her secretary instead. Although she never returns to the city after, she is frequently seen visiting to check on the people she has become acquainted with in her years there. Having finally accepted herself, she won't deny she's in a happier place now. Yes! Hooked him up! Despite making the Ireland branch of her interior design company her focus now, Marianne continues to cater to her most avid patrons in Luxbourne when requested. And after her work on the Ermengarde mansion, Hannah Evans has never trusted another to handle the design for any of the places she owns. On moving back to the Evans mansion after her divorce, Marianne's name is the first thing she calls, and the woman is quick to fly back to the city as the socialite summons. So wait, she moved back to the mansion? Like, wait, I thought it was put on sale. Not only helping with the decorations of the old place, but also assisting with the renovations, much to Hannah's delight. But even after the project has been wrapped up months later, the renowned designer remains a constant presence around the businesswoman. And as with everything that goes in the city, this does not escape the notice of people who have kept a constant eye on the Harris. The rumored couple has kept mum about it, but anyone who sees them together won't deny seeing a different spark in both women's eyes. With help from family and friends, Zachary Steele is soon able to open a photography studio of his own, something he's only dreamed of having as a child. Although he still hopes to get back into making indie films someday, client work and small projects have kept him mostly busy. Hectic as it may be, he can only be glad for the amount of work pouring in. It has made moving on from the incident in the Ermengarde mansion easier, if not faster. Even with the success, he still hasn't forgotten what he has lost during that time. While there are still nightmares with support from his family, his doctor, and his own drive, the dark images have finally turned into pleasant dreams. He's aware he won't ever truly forget, but he's no longer running away. At times, when he's not busy or after a hard day's work, he thinks there's another story for the big screen to be told in that. An idea he may soon turn into reality once his time affords it. In the months that follow, Rebecca Gales becomes a prominent researcher within Luxbourne's major academic circles, especially after writing that she has discovered about Anselm Village and the Ermengarde mansion. With help from Professor Andrew Clark, she is soon able to secure funding to continue her research, presenting her findings yearly at local and international symposiums. Now at the tail end of her current study, she hopes to publish her first book, correcting all the inaccuracies in the city's current history, most supported by both colleagues, students, and friends alike. Though she knows she still has a long way to go before she can even begin to change people's minds about it, Professor Clark has warned her as much. She perseveres, doing it not for herself, but for the sake of what she lost after the curse. As fresh as the wounds are still, this is how she remembers. Rebecca hadn't been particularly close with Zachary Steele. She does regret letting her relationship with a man fall apart the way it did. If things had already been awkward between them in the past, now just standing in the same bus stop as the him borders on uncomfortable. All of a sudden, the years they've known each other have been forgotten, and only an awful silence descends between them. Perhaps it's something she has said or the way she has treated him. She's sure it's never his fault. After all, she has always thought of the man as someone kind. Too kind. And if there's anyone responsible for allowing things to change, she believes the blame should fall largely on her. In any case, it may be all too late to fix things now, and in the end, this is simply one of the things the curse has rudely taken from her, one she's all too powerless to prevent. There we go. I was worried we wouldn't get this scene. Although her schedule has become constantly busy and her amount of research she needs to finish can easily overwhelm her once she misses a day of work, Rebecca has never forgotten the sacrifice a loved one made for her. Even after so many years, she remains a constant visitor where Ashton Frey lies, sometimes staying for the entire day, simply speaking of stories about her work or occasionally ranting to him when things are bad. Admittedly, the wounds are still fresh, but Rebecca trudges on with life instead of wallowing in her grief. Knowing the detective will only chastise her for clinging on to her sorrow for so long, she writes, and is how she has chosen to hold on to his memory. In spite of the huge changes in their lives, Rebecca and Zach never forget to visit Isabella Santos, bringing little stories they have no idea if she ever hears, but tell nevertheless, carrying a small prayer that they won't lose her. When they can afford it, they also help her aunt in caring for her. Something the woman appreciates, knowing she can't be there for the sleeping girl every hour of the day. However, though they want to remain optimistic on Isabella's chances, it dwindles with every failed attempt of the doctors to bring her out of the coma. And each passing day, the girl stays unconscious. Amidst the constant beeping of the machines in her room, optimism is the only thing they can hold on to. We did it! So, I'm gonna pause here and resurrect Ashton. So, back with the epilogues. Despite reviving Ashton, he had no dialogue at all during that final confrontation. So, we're gonna just skip ahead to wherever the heck Ash is. Well, now he's the one who headed the investigation. The promised talk happened months later, after both Rebecca Gales and Ashton Frey have recovered from the immediate repercussions of the curse, even though things between them have started out awkward at first, with Rebecca mostly leading and Ashton having no idea what to do with the weight of the feelings the other has suddenly thrust on him. Perhaps with heavier expectations, they both come into an understanding shortly. Eventually the two start dating, to no one's surprise, particularly those who have already gleaned of the redhead's feelings for the man years ago. Usually they can be spotted together on a trip downtown when they aren't busy with their respective jobs, or life does not get in the way. It isn't exactly sunshine and rainbows like she has imagined all those years. Sometimes their conflicting tempers get in the way. In another, it's their different opinions. With patience instead of a spat, they both try to work through their differences, slowly, one gradual step after another, learning as they go. There's a difficult road ahead for them. Rebecca knows they're still quite a ways off from the fairy tale ending she has long dreamed of with him. But at the end of it, she thinks they're both happy, even if Ashton rarely says anything. It's always been that way after all. This has been a long time coming, and after everything they've both gone through since childhood, they deserve to have this respite. I do still wonder if changing that conversation with Luke changes anything. Together. Yeah, I think we already saw this one. Things have never been the same for Zachary, Steele, and Ashton. I'm trying to get the everyone hates each other endings later, but I'm getting them now. An argument ensues between the two shortly after they have been released from the Ermengarde Memorial Hospital. Where were you in the hospital? What happened to you two? Although the wise are vague, and both have been tight-lipped about the matter after the fight has been broken off, with the room evident only from bits of conversation by bystanders of her? What does that mean? Perhaps it's even an old grievance they've been holding against each other, only aggravated by whatever horrific things they'd gone through inside the mansion. Whatever the reasons, the two men have kept a considerable distance from each other since then. Ashton gives the man a wide berth when they encountered in a public place. Zach simply avoids places the detective frequents. People who know them have simply assumed the spat will resolve itself in due time, but for the two of them, the way things have panned out, in due time may never even come to pass. Now we're all in the picture! In spite of the huge changes in their lives, Rebecca, Ashton, and Zach never forget to visit Isabella Santos. Oh, any new dialogue? Just one more of us. So that's all for this path. I don't plan to keep doing a bunch of paths. I still want to do a everyone hates each other ending, and I want to do the true ending, and then I want to do an ending where I get the ending I want and everyone's happy and loves each other. I also do want to get the other romance endings. But for now, I'll see you all next time. Please leave a comment, and goodbye. Thanks for watching.